Hello, and welcome to the Rosa Speaks podcast, where we talk, listen, and learn how to not just survive, but live in every aspect of our lives through health, faith, tests, trials, and motivations. It is through our experiences that we connect, we grow, and we thrive. So stay with us. Today I want to talk about giving up. Have you ever been in a place where you just felt so tired and exhausted? People, time, and strength has come and gone, and yet you still stand. You've done what the scripture tells us. When we have done all we can do to stand anyhow. There's a reason why there's a saying that says there's no rest for the weary. You're already weary. You are so carried on with life that it's hard to do anything else. Well, I was at church today and the service was, as always, truly a blessing to me. But as I was worshiping God and meditating on Him and enjoying the fellowship of being amongst the saints, God began to speak to me and show me some things. Some of you may know I've been through a lot throughout my life. I've seen the power of God move. I've seen Him move in my life in many ways, many times. And that has been what has kept me going. But there is a difference between having a cup and the full well. I've come to a place in my life where I don't just want a cup, nor just enough to get me by or to the next thing. Just getting enough has happened to many of us, and it allowed us to survive, but it can cause unbelief. Some of us have been waiting on God and have not seen promises and or His word come to pass. So you have come to a place where you believe faith is continuing to go and to do because mama said God can do it. The pastor said God will do it. But on the inside, you don't really believe God will deliver because you have not seen or experienced it yet. I want to say, watch out, because this can lead to a form of godliness denying the power. How, one might say? Because living for God in a way that's not in your heart isn't believing. It's routine. But in this season, God has been inspiring me with His word, restoring me and rejuvenating my spirit. While restoration is happening, things like consistent struggles and troubles and lack are happening as well, which can cause doubt because many of us don't believe consistent struggle is for us. But is it? We often quote being the head and not the tail, being above and not beneath, a lender, not a borrower, as if it means we should never be tested in those areas. Job, a man of God, had everything removed from his life and given again. It was consistently one thing after the other. And just like him, the people will think about you. It's, must be because we must have done something wrong. But that isn't always the case. It may be because in order for us to reign with Him, we must suffer with Him. And it's not because He's making us suffer. This is the way of life in time. We must understand that everything changed over a bite of fruit. A course was set in time that none of us can avoid or change. We must now work for and earn what we get and struggle. We must also know that pain is a part of living. As I was sitting there, I was being uplifted and inspired. And one of the ministers were talking about, tithe and offering. And not just our money, but also our worship and our praise. What we choose to give God is what he was talking about. So I started to reflect on myself and how no matter what, I have always been a giver, but things have knocked me, y'all. Even though I had already gave, hearing this message just hit me a little different. It reminded me how I used to give not only my money, but of my time, my energy, and of my presence. God reminded me of my heart towards him. And in that moment, I realized so much has come, and I praised my way through, and I danced my way through, and I shouted my way through, and I believed my way through, but somehow I lost trust. As the minister kept talking, God said, I'm after your heart. I said, God, you have my heart. You always have my heart. The words I said were so true in many ways, but not in the ways most important. To truly give someone your heart, you must also give them your trust. I needed to be secure in everything, knowing his word is alive, and in due season, I would prevail. I would be delivered, and I would live an abundant life, even if I haven't seen it yet. I began to think on that, and while I was in the midst of the service, as the minister was speaking, God showed me myself carrying my cross down the aisle to the altar. The word was doing so much for me in that moment. As he was ministering to my soul, the speaker. Because although I've gone through for so long, I have always said, no matter what, though you slay me, I will serve you and I will trust you. But I got so tired and drained from fighting that I had to take some time away. It took a while, y'all, but I had to take some time to heal. I was fighting the good fight before, but I don't think I ever had the time or was given the time to heal properly. So for some time, God had to put me in a place where I could not move. I couldn't do anything. I wanted to go to church, and I felt the desire to go, but couldn't, because every time I would go, I would feel the pull to serve, and I wanted to serve, but I needed to serve by being poured into. I needed to allow myself to be refreshed and rejuvenated so that I could be ready, armed, and strong to serve in my previous capacities. That I came to realize was my service at that time, but that's a dangerous place to be in. When I was so empty and so low while trying to heal, I didn't have a covering. So the tempter came and my flesh tried to destroy me. Now, don't get me wrong. I sought people to cover me in prayer, and it didn't work out. So I ran trying to take cover, but I could not outrun my tests and my trials. So I would say be careful if you find yourself here. Things can set in within you that you have to deal with between you and God, like doubt, resentment of your experiences and where you are, and also rebellion. So, okay, I've had some experiences. I don't regret them because they taught me some things. But as I was coming out of that season, the enemy knew what God was going to do. My flesh knew what God was going to do. And I just needed a break. I was like, I've never been here before. I wasn't one of those people that enjoyed the world and then came to the church. No, I wasn't one of those people. I wasn't one of those people that had a relationship with God. I was one of those people that had a relationship with God since I was a little girl. I was chosen before I was born, and I had been walking in that way from a child. I have always been physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually working for God since I could remember. And now, all I had was time and nothing to do but wait. I was so exhausted that I could not read my Bible, and sometimes I couldn't pray. Finally, what happens during this time when things don't start moving forward and you're still going through while you're on empty? Danger. Because you may grasp for things to feel something and to fill the void of a once fed soul. So at that point, it was taking so much for me to survive that I didn't have much left. I was tired and my life was displeasing to God. So there was a separation. Now, here I am back to church. I'm sitting in here and God is telling me, I'm allowing you to go through these things to bring your heart back to me. Some of us want to come back free of chains. But in order for us to find freedom from burden, we must be bound to God. I must be bound to God, and in order for me to be like Jesus, I have got to do what Jesus did. He could have set himself free, but he took the cross, that old ball and chain cross, couldn't get past it, and carried it to Calvary. He had a heart for God, so I must do the same. You must not give up, okay? You must carry your cross. Although it is heavy, I know you feel like you can't carry this, but the same way Jesus took on the cross, Jesus is here to help you carry everything. So don't give up. Carry everything you have and everything you have gone through, even if you have to carry it to God. Don't give up. You are not alone, even when it feels like it. And you're at your lowest and you are at your worst. Don't give up. God sees you. He hears you. He knows you. He loves you. Like, share, and subscribe to Rosa Speaks.